I don't get them often, but I absolutely love naps. It brings a smile to my face to just imagine letting my eyes close after those heavy eyelids kick in. You pull the couch blanket up around you, shove your shoulder under the pillow's edge, and simply give in. Waken an hour or two later as a new person. Sounds nice, doesn't it? When was the last time that you let yourself get away with a nap, responding to the call to sleep instead of fighting it and going for another cup of coffee or an energy drink? We sometimes feel guilty when we let ourselves give in to the need to rest, when we just let our body do what it is telling us is necessary. We all know that we could be doing something more productive. There are always towels that need folded. That pile of unopened junk mail at least needs a quick sorting. And so instead of listening to our bodies and allowing our eyes to actually close for at least a cat nap, we instead get up and work. That Protestant work ethic has got a hold of us all, at least a little bit, and it has been drilled into us. If you've got time to lean, then you've got time to clean. Guilty of it myself. Always trying to be more productive. Always looking to get the next item on my to-do list accomplished. But I ask, seriously today, is that faithful? Is it okay to always push ourselves in the name of success? Is it faithful even to tell our God-given bodies that they are our enemies and that we are to strive against the rest that they are calling for? In the Old Testament, God shows us the way that we are supposed to live. And truth be told, no matter how much our over-caffeinated society may not like it, that includes rest. The Father even rests on the seventh day of creation, and then goes so far as to command that we rest, that we take Sabbath, an entire day of it, every single week. Genesis 2:3, from one of our readings today, is quite clear about this when it says, God blessed the seventh day and hallowed it, because on it God rested from all the work that he had done in creation. And then because we didn't appreciate it and honor it as the gift it was intended to be, God then needed to command our rest and put it in writing on the tablets of the Ten Commandments. God the Father rested, and Jesus rested too. When someone tries to give you any trouble about the nap that you need, feel free to remind them that Jesus took naps regularly too. For Jesus, naps are a statement of faith. And when this world pushes back on us for simply listening to our bodies and trying to obey God's command, we can remember that Jesus told us, simply put, come to me, all you that are weary and carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. For we follow the one and only God, who is the Lord of the Sabbath. And yes, it is weird, because rest is countercultural. It is today, and it always has been. There's always a contingent out there in this world that does not truly trust that God is our provider, that God is the supplier of all good things in our lives. And they claim that this whole idea of rest is something that is for the lazy, those who don't care, those who are never going to get ahead in life. Yes, it is true. You know these people. We all probably have a little bit of that in us, because this world wants us to believe that lie and has driven it into us since grade school. Rest is something that the world tells us is a luxury, but the Bible commands it. God requires it. And that is because this world truly does not believe that everything we are and everything that we have is a gift from God. Instead of letting God be the creator of all good things in our lives, we sinfully want the credit. The reason I am who I am is because of me and my hard work, that little devilish voice whispers into each of our ears. Remember this. God takes naps The Father rests, Jesus rests, and as faithful and obedient disciples, we too rest. Not because we have earned it, but because we need it. For we were created in the image of God, and if God rests, then we are to rest as well. Don't miss out on this. We are given divine permission to rest in this world that tells us that we shouldn't. And yet the truth of the matter is that rest is a statement of faith. Faith in a God that provides all things. When we rest, we give God the time to give us what we need. When we rest, we get the restoration that our bodies crave. When we rest, we prove again to ourselves that we will be taken care of beyond our own abilities and effort and work. And boy, do we need to be reminded of that. There's a part of us that really doesn't want to trust it. And this is because we live in a grind culture that resists rest. We live in a world where we are told to keep pushing and pushing and pushing until we get to the point where we can finally rest, only then to find ourselves worn out and worn thin. And we have all bought into it on some level. We have even taught others, counter to our faith, to never slow down, to never rest, to keep trying, to work harder. And we've probably even figured out ways to pretend that this is what God wants from us, why God created us. But as we can see, when we simply rest long enough to give it the proper thought, this never stopping is perfectly counter to what both the Old Testament and New Testament are teaching us. This season of Lent, which we find ourselves in today in the church year, is yet another time that we are tempted to avoid the third commandment, when we are tempted to take something else new up in our lives to do more. You might even have chosen a Lenten discipline that requires more work from you, something like giving up chocolate or exercising more. But the real reason behind those Lenten disciplines, may I remind you, is so that we can learn to rely on God better. They exist to help us learn just how much we can rely on God and how everything else is eventually going to betray us. And so I'd like to invite you to think about a Lenten discipline this year of simply resting. And I'll provide an idea for you each Sunday during Lent for you to better practice this. But today it is as simple as take a nap. You heard me right. Go home and take a nap. Do it today if your body wants it. Do it later this week, but don't wait. Don't make another excuse. Learn to rely on God alone again. In your rest, in your perfect lack of work and effort, let God take care of you like God wants to. Yes, this world might not get it, but deep down you do. This rest is necessary. Naps are required. Naps are a statement of faith, and if anybody tries to stop you, remind them that Pastor told you to, that God even commands it, and that Jesus was very well known for taking naps. If you'd like a list of the times that Jesus naps in the Bible, Google it. I think you will be surprised just how faithful Jesus is and how his nap cycle demonstrates it. He was never afraid to let go and let God. Again, if you were here for Ash Wednesday, you already know that I'm going to hope to inspire you this season of Lent to rest. I want us to practice our faith by listening to our bodies and responding to them. I want us to faithfully obey the command for Sabbath rest. I want us to learn again to rely on God and leave this grind culture behind that has got us all in a tizzy with schedules for ourselves and our children that Jesus would have torn up. We all need, me too, to be reminded by God and reproved the divine truth that all we have comes from God. Because in our sinfulness and turning to ourselves and everything other than God, we have fallen short in what our faith requires of us, which is trust in the God who creates all and loves us unconditionally. We all need again to realize that we can lean on this pillar of faith, that God will indeed provide for us, that God remains our creator, and we can let go of the control that we think we need, that we pretend we have by always being on alert. Rest is not easy for many of us, and we all have a version of it in our heads of what it might look like. What is it for you? Is it reading a book, or sleeping in, or vacation? Whatever it is, I beg of you, please take it. Please rest. Please listen to God's command for it and follow God's example in it. And to help you this season of Lent, I want to offer you a gift. As you leave today, please take with you a lavender sachet as a reminder to rest. Keep it in a place where you can get comfortable. And each time you smell it, maybe let yourself think about the divine permission to rest and just what that might mean for you and your relationship with God. Please take this message today as a reminder that we have all been unfaithful to the commandment for rest, and that we all have bought into the idolatry of ourselves and the lie that all we have and all we are is a product of our own creation. Seriously, take a nap. And when someone wants to give you guff about it, just let them know that Pastor Josh recommended it to you as a Lenten discipline this year. Pastor told you to, because God demands it. Naps are indeed a statement of faith. Faith in God as our true provider of all. Faith in God as our creator. You can rest. Please, let God prove it to you. Amen.